Paul, another win for your side. What did you make of the performance?
I thought we were good at times. Second half, changed system, and the longer it went, with a couple of subs and again having to change it again, we kind of struggled probably to really get out of the half in general. But at the same time, I thought then we looked a threat, sort of, I guess, playing counter-attack football. I think we're all aware at the minute, kind of personnel-wise, a couple of people filling different positions. That isn't probably ideal, and certainly how I hope we don't look come the start of the season. But I thought we did some good things. First half certainly looked a threat. It looked to play a high line, and I think, to be fair, Doig was shouting out the diagonals, and once we started doing that, got in behind him on a few occasions, and probably should have scored a few more. They had pressure, like I said, towards the end of the game, but didn't feel like either keeper had too many sort of real saves to make. The criticism from me on our side is need to be a bit more clinical, because on another day, that's a league game, we get a late equaliser, then we're all unhappy in the dressing room.
Do you feel like that was a bit of an improvement from Tuesday night then?
Yeah, well, all due respect, Alfreton played, didn't play their strongest 11 because of the amount of games they've had, etc. Not sure exactly on Boston, but I would dare to say it certainly wasn't too far away. And they've got some good players. I think they'll do well in their league this season. This is great. Obviously, having been there before and seen the new stadium, really pleased for David and Neil and the club as a whole that you can see this is going to be a good place to play football for them, and hope that they do well. So they've got a good side. It was a good test. I think we will have games when you don't play as well as you want. You're all under a little bit of pressure and have to defend and keep that clean sheet, and that's something that we managed to do.
That change of formation at the start of the second half, was that always planned, or was it due to any injuries or anything?
At the minute, I'm struggling to plan much, to be honest. We go in with a plan and then have to very much kind of react to what we see and availability, players, etc. It was always a thought that we might end up that way, but maybe not the start of the second half. Probably initially would have kept it as it was for probably 65, 70 minutes. But it is what it is. It's not something, in fairness, that we've really worked on. Just some quick instructions at half time. I think some of it they got, other bits didn't quite grasp. But the important thing is minutes again. Don't think, touch wood, no new injuries, which would be a first, and a step closer to the start of the season.
And a few players back as well for this game. Does that reduce the injury list a little bit for you?
They are back, but not really in terms of overall. I think we've still got, I think it's 8 injured, which is far too many. And I think near enough any squad, unless you're really it's still not fortunate for whoever's injured, but if it was 8 real young players in your squad, you might get away with it if you've got a really big one, and strength in depth. So it's not been an ideal pre-season despite the best planning and having an extra week. I was glad that we haven't started today. Hopefully in a couple of weeks' time we might have got a couple more players available to us, but it's nice still to win, no matter what it is. We know it's a pre-season game. I like us to get into a habit, say another clean sheet, which is good. With these people, it might not seem so very sexy to talk about, but trust me, any teams or most teams certainly that do well, are built on strong foundations, and something that we do in no care.
And Caren John again linking up well for the goal as well, so looking quite good between those two at the moment.
I guess it is, but obviously other side of the pitch, and Seb playing somewhere that might have surprised a few people. Speaking to him, that's where he's played for Villa, not often, but if he has played further up rather than on the left, I thought he made a lot of good forward runs. He stretched defence. He obviously had a 1v1 early on, which I'm thinking, why do you want to play on right? If you're on your left, it's a bit easier. But he, for me again, that's a positive to come out of today. He's played another 90 minutes, played 90 minutes. Sorry. He just had a quick look at his stats. They're good, and I think he'll only get stronger with us. Luke Waterfall back, as you mentioned, a couple of back crooks he first half thought did well. No occurrence or thoughts of an injury, just wanted to ease him back in rather than risk longer. So there are some positives from today. McAtee again, another goal. A negative certainly from Boston's point of view is the injury. That looked a serious one, unfortunately. Wish the player a speedy recovery. You never want to see that. It was a foul, but it's certainly not the intent to cause any serious harm. So hopefully it did look worse than it is, but I think there's a fear that it's a bad one.
Okay. Obviously 2 weeks now until the start of the season. How would you assess how your side are building up to that?
Slowly, if I'm being totally honest. Some good things. I'm just said we still don't look like we're quite capable of being at, sort of really at it for 90 minutes, which is a concern. But this wasn't an easy game. Make no mistake, as I said, just because they're in the league below us. Like I said, they got a good team, some good players. I think, I'm still confident that we'll get there, but we clearly need some help in terms of the squad, which we're continually looking at, and need some of those injured players back, and then I think you see a bit of a different dynamic. At the top end of the pitch, we're probably not getting too much of a breather with the players that we've got. If you think of a Lenny or a Ryan Taylor, I think maybe they get hold of the ball, they win more free kicks, takes the sting out of the game, or allows you to build play a little better. We're certainly missing that at the minute.
And what's coming? Anything in the pipeline at the moment?
No, we're just inquiries and conversations, and there's always trying to look at what we can do, what we can't do, to because ultimately you're always working to a budget. So yeah, I think I've certainly got a couple of calls to follow up on. Let's put it that way.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you.